Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode here on the Hermitcraft Amplified server, and we're going to start this one off with a magic trick. We are going to use the power of 4 to jump up above. Can we do it? Can we do it? Can we teleport? Yes, we can! Amazing! What an amazing magic trick that was. You're probably thinking, what? How the hell did you do that? Oh, and we did it again! Amazing! Have a look at my XP bar. I have no XP. That is a bug. Yes, sometimes, thanks to my horrible internet connection, when I log in, this just happens over and over again. It's like, I'm sure you've seen it, you you log in, and you fall down through the floor, and then the game keeps teleporting you back to the same spot. We call it rubberbanding, and it is, it is really annoying and weird. And I still haven't got my XP. And anyway, I want to show you what's in this chest right here, and the game is going to deny us access to the chest. Come on! We want to see what's in the chest. It's not going to happen. I'm going to have to wait and log back in later on, because this is all that's going to happen when I try and log in now. You can see it's still just teleporting me over and over. And look at this. Apparently I have 5 bars. I don't know what's going on with that. I have no idea at all. Okay, second magic trick for this episode. We're now going to access the chest. Yes, there we go. Eventually the internet sorted itself out. And that's right, loads of blaze rods from the blaze farm that we built recently. And we need a stack of redstone. Can you guess what we're going to do with all of these? Look at this. We got 4.5 stacks, 1 stack of this. We're going to make 9 stacks of each. And hopefully I've got 9 stacks of nether warts down below. And I do just want to say at the beginning of the video, if you've been enjoying these Hermitcraft episodes, don't forget to leave a like. Do appreciate all your support on the series. Just wanted to put in a friendly little reminder from time to time. And look at that. Loads and loads of nether warts. So we can run around the back and do the 4th one across, which is blaze powder. That's not what it is. It's a strength potion. I just said what I saw. So yeah, we can get this one up and running now, and I shouldn't have fallen down below, but I think we can still do it from here. Yeah, I can tell that that's the blaze one. Alright, so it should go 1, 2 and 3. So this one's going to be nether warts, then we're going to put in our blaze powder. And can you do math? Can you do math? That's what I want to know. Actually, what we want to do is leave one of those behind here. Yeah, how many potions does that add up to? 9 stacks, probably multiplied by 3, I think. And look at that. That is brilliant. We're never going to have to worry about strength potions again, basically. So in order for this thing to get going, it needs to have its ingredients inside of there. It also needs some water bottles. If we take some from up here and put them in manually, this thing should be good to go. No. Aha, now it's dispensed the items. Now it needs the water bottles. It is a little bit finicky to get it started. And where did the other one go? Something is horribly wrong here. I think the redstone is... Yep, something is horribly wrong. Okay, yes, it is now working, right? Yep, they're the next 2 ingredients. We got a nether wart in there. Excellent. So the problem was I forgot to put some items in the hopper over here. So that's no problem at all. That sticks. That's now going to work. However, we do now have a ludicrous amount of water bottles that have gone into this bit down the bottom here. So we're going to have to take all of those out and put them in over at the front manually. But there we go, the strength potions are now brewing. I'm going to double check and see if they're alright. I'm sick of getting stuck down here. I need to get some ladders going on in this room so I can get back up the top. This is silly. Anyway, this is not what we're going to be doing this episode. I just wanted to get this thing up and running. We are going to be working on a new farm type. So I'm going to be moving all the bottles back over to here, and then I'll meet you up top on the surface. Actually, before we do that, there's something else I want to do with these blaze rods, and that's put a brewing stand down on each one of these, because as I mentioned before, by having these here we can brew them into splash potions. So this one right here, I have a stack of gunpowder ready for that, and this is actually like pretty much all of the gunpowder that I've got, so we do need to get some more, which the farm we're going to build it will help us with. I've just thought of something else though. It's not actually the only thing you could do. You could also use glowstone on this and turn it into a tier 2 potion. Cool thing about that is there's actually 2 blaze rods at each farm, so maybe one on one side has gunpowder, one on the other side has glowstone dust. That'll actually work out really well, I think. But we do need to get more of those materials first, of course. So the farm we're going to build will actually provide us with those materials, glowstone and gunpowder. And it's also going to provide us with bottles as well, which we could even hook up to the system down below. That would be pretty cool. Is there a way to make an item filter for water bottles? Not sure, but that'll be an interesting project, but one for another day. If you haven't guessed it already, we're going to be building a witch farm, and of course we're going to be building the one that I designed recently for 1.9. Now what's really cool about this farm is it works in 1.8 as well. Really what we're doing is we're just removing the shifting floors and replacing it with an older system, which is of course water flushing, which has been around for a long time. And we're using that and creating a really cool farm. So I think what I want to do is just start building this thing, really. I'm eager to get going. I've got loads of materials prepared. We need a lot more as well. And I also want to talk to you a little bit about some of the design choices that I made when they come up, like, you know, when I'm building it, because we're going to be doing this step by step. So this is the first platform that you want to place down. And the first thing I want to talk about with design is no, we are not using packed ice. Time and time again, whenever you hear it, remember to correct people that packed ice does not speed up mobs when there's water flowing over it. Now when there isn't water on it, they do slide along a little bit, just like the player does, but when there's water going along, it doesn't at all. So we don't need to use packed ice. Anyway, that's one, that's two, the next one is right here, and then 1, 2, the next one's with the ground level, is that right? I'm going to have to go back and double check this. Yeah, the next one would be here. 1, 2, and then a half. That doesn't seem quite right to me. Oh no, maybe actually it is. You can see the structure's still down at this level. Well, I need to go and double check from my tutorial because I do not want to make the mistake of putting these floors in the wrong place. So there's our spawning platforms, and you'll notice that the one at the bottom is slightly bigger, and that's because this is actually part of the bounding box. But on one side we do have to put our drop, and here's where things get really marginal. But I decided to put it on this side because it faces the center. So if you don't know how mob spawning works and how them despawning works, it's all based around the player position, and I'm most of the time going to be in that central area. So if I'm 128 blocks away from where this is, as soon as I'm 128 blocks or more away from a mob, it's going to instantly despawn, and that means, you know, if I'm exactly 128 blocks away from here, if the drop was on the other side, all of those witches getting pushed over here would despawn. Now, that making a difference is going to be extremely unlikely, but that's the reason that I've chosen to put it on this side. And there is one other thing that I'd actually like to mention as well. We're not technically going to be building the same farm that I did in the tutorial because I've since improved it and found out a couple other things we can do with it. And I'll of course mention what those are as we build it. In fact, one of the next things that we're going to be doing is the redstone, yes, and that's one of the things that I've changed. So I'm going to build a little bit of that and then show you what the difference is. So I've made a little mock-up over here so we can check out what's different between the two different designs. And although it's a mock-up, it's actually kind of good to go, basically. So I'll show you it over here. This is the original design, the one that you saw in the tutorial. And the problem with this one is if you stand in the middle, all three get activated. If you stand over on this side, two of them get activated. Same for the other one as well. Now, one thing I've noticed is a little bit odd is if I move back and forth like this, yeah, look, sometimes they all get activated and you can sort of stay over on one side like that. So we're standing on this side, yet all three are down. I don't know. Anyway, let me explain what exactly is wrong with this design. You see at the back here we have 3 pistons in a row, and this block right here gets powered and it powers the piston below it, but it's also powering the pistons on either side, and because it's a piston in the middle, it updates the ones on either side, and therefore all 3 will extend when this one right here gets powered. So basically if you activate the one on the side, on either side, 2 will activate at once, and any of the ones in the middle, 3 will activate. Now when I was making this, I didn't realise there was an alternative way to do this that would mean that wouldn't happen, and it didn't feel like the biggest of deals really, because all it meant was the water spread out a little bit further on either side. Now obviously the less it spreads out, the better it is for more spawning, which is why I'm glad that I found this design right here. So a few people commented on my video saying, hey, you know, they're being bub powered, and that's why 3 at once will get activated, and so I went and looked at it and found this design right here. So if you're thinking of building the farm, I'd recommend doing this. It is slightly more expensive, as you can see, and this is basically a tutorial right there because you've got your little cross segment bit, I guess you could say. So that comparator at the bottom would be where this one is on the next level because it's a stackable design. So let me explain what's going on over here. When we power the block, we're not actually going to power the one that has the sticky piston and the redstone block. We're going to bud power it, and then the piston above that gets directly powered will update it. So this block gets powered, that powers the piston, and it updates the one down here, which you can see is diagonally bud powered. So it pretty much does the same thing. If we stand over here, you'll see that these one get activated basically when you're standing in the one piece of string alone. If you stand in 2 in the middle like this, then 2 will get activated, but otherwise it's really good. So I didn't put the water in here because I figured, oh, this actually shows you what we're doing. But now that I think about it, if we put the water in there, we can see how much it spreads about. And you'll see that it really isn't too much of a difference to worry about. So let's chuck some in on that side and jump around over here, find our way up to the top. There we go. Put some on this side as well, and then go down the front, and you'll see if we just stand in one like this, it sort of spreads out. We can kind of see how far it spreads out to. This diagonal right here going over to that far piston. If I stand, it's actually going to be the same because it spreads out on the other side as well. But yeah, you get what I'm saying. I don't really need to demonstrate it exactly. And one other thing, by the way, the water only flows out this far. What's up with that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's, oh, there you go. I know what the problem is. Okay, so I left this one in at the bottom to show that it was the bounding box. And of course we don't use the bounding box on this side because the water doesn't flow all the way across. So this bit actually has to be removed. I'm glad I spotted that before building all of this. That could have been a little bit disastrous. But anyway, that's the design that we're going to go with. So I'm going to build that across this entire floor and the 2 floors above. And then I'll bring you back in to show you something else that we're going to do slightly different. This terrain is absolutely glorious. I love looking up and looking around sometimes. You know, it is a shame we don't do more with this terrain, but I'm not the builder sort. I really do struggle to do builds like that from time to time, and I'd love to do more. It's just I've got to wait to be in the right mood for it, I guess. You know how it is. Anyway, let me show you what's going to be different with this one. You can see that we've got our 3 floors. I've built up all of the redstone at the back. And the reason we're hanging around on the top is because I'm going to put the roof on. Now this time when we build the roof, it's only going to be the same size as the farm. We're not going to have the big roof that goes out to all the sides, because I didn't really think about it when I was building this. But the reason that you used to have that is because you needed lots of air blocks for things to spawn. Whereas since they've changed the game code, it means that you can actually just have these blocks around, and it doesn't really affect spawn rates that much, I think. Unless I'm misunderstanding something there. So what we're actually going to do this time is fill everything in, like so, and then that means that these rooms are going to be dark and we don't need to build a big old roof on top. Now I must remember to put the water in before we finish building this thing, but that's literally what we're going to do. We're going to have a big stone slab box right here, and inside it is going to be the witch farm. So that includes all the stuff around the back here as well. It also means that there's not really going to be any light updates because everything is dark, so this thing shouldn't be laggy in the slightest or anything like that, which is good. So I've got a ton of these blocks to place down, and I've taken several trips back and forth, and every time I just pick up a couple of stacks of stone, and then I think to myself, you know, like, I know I'm going to be using a lot more than that, and then I go and do it again, and that means I've got to take another trip, in which I'll probably not pick up enough stone. Anyway, let's get all of this thing filled in, let's get the water in place, and then we've got to build the drop. But after that, the farm will then technically be ready to go. So I thought I'd made things complicated for myself for a second there. You see, we can't sort of place the water into the back area without walking into it. So if we walk into it, then what we have to do is fill it up, and we're actually trapped back here. Because when you're standing on the tripwire hook itself, you're not actually activating it. It's the string that does that. So there we go, the thing is filled up. Let's fill up our buckets. And then to get out, just chuck an item on there and go on your way. So it wasn't actually that difficult. Yeah, anyway, one more floor to go. Filling in all of this, you know how it goes. So there it is, the finished product, a giant ugly box of stone slabs. Believe me, that's not going to stay. I have got plans for that, which we will do at another time. Something actually really cool, if I can pull it off. I'm going to put right here. But anyway, the next thing to do is to do the drop. And of course, I'm going to go back to the tutorial and double check. I think the drop distance is 40 blocks from here. And yeah, I'll make sure I get that right. Anyway, my plan was to just dig straight down, all the way down to the bottom, and then find where it connects to in my base. And then I realised that witches might start spawning and get dropped directly on top of me, which would be a very bad thing. So what I'm going to do is play it safe and put like a temporary roof at the top here. Actually, we'll just put it level with the bottom floor. No, if we did that, then they would probably be forever walking back onto the tripwire. So let's get a drop of 2. Yep, they'll fall down here if they do spawn, and then they won't be able to go anywhere else. So we're going to start our digging from just below this. So I was panicking over here. I downloaded a backup of the world and was measuring things out where the witch hut used to be. because down the bottom here, this thing is 10 blocks across. And it wasn't until I double checked everything that I realised that I dug down where the wall is. So this block right here would actually be a wall, and that means this is the drop area, and it's 9 blocks across, so we are all good to go. I'm going to put some slabs on top of this. I'm going to put a little bit of a glass thing in front of it as well. However, I think it'd be nice to make this a proper little room and area, which is something we can do in another episode. So for now we're going to make it collect all of the drops and see what we can actually get with a little bit of AFKing. I don't think it's going to be much at all, and as I make my way out of here I should probably get rid of all these ladders and pillar up, and in that way the drop is ready to go. So while I've been doing this, I've seen like 1 or 2 witches in the area at the top, so that's a good sign that things will spawn, because we've got to keep in mind of course that I've done absolutely no caving whatsoever in this area, so all the caves are unlit. And that means that of course the spawn rates are not going to be that great. So it looks a bit dull and lonely at the moment. This is the collection area down at the bottom, and as I said, we'll probably do something fancy here one day. For now we got this temporary thing and a couple of chests thrown down. Yes, a few witches fell down while I was doing this, so it was good to see that. However, not many drops so far, and I've got a feeling we're not going to be able to get too many drops at all really, because as I said, done none of the caving in the area. So I was thinking about the best way to get the best rates from this witch farm, and I think once we've done the caving, the best place to sit would be all the way down at the bottom, because then we'll be loading up the world down below and all of the caves that we've lit. Now the problem is that the area up above is actually going to be really bad at night, because the amplified terrain is going to be a disaster to light up, so much so that I'm not even going to bother trying to light it up at all. And I'm heading up there to show you, and it really does take some time to move around this base. So this is what I'm talking about. Lighting up all these little ridges is going to be absolutely disastrous. You basically have to put a torch down like every few blocks, and it would take you ages to traverse all of them, and then it would look really ugly as well. I mean, look at the torch band right here. It doesn't look too great. One day I want to replace that all with bushes and jack-o'-lanterns underneath. So what I'm saying is all of these hills up here, all these little spawning spaces, they're going to be ideal for mobs when you're up in this area, because of course the spawning happens around the player. So if we stand right in the centre, I don't know if that's 128 blocks away. I've got a feeling it's a lot closer than that. So if mobs spawn on there, they won't instantly despawn. So if we're hanging out all the way down at the bottom and the witch farm is loaded and it's within 128 blocks, and we've sort of caved all of this area over here, although we are at Y70, so there'll be a lot of area above here as well that will be loaded, but we should be good to load the witch farm and have, you know, not a lot of spawnable spaces elsewhere. Now that being said, at night time this is pretty bad. In the daytime it's probably not going to be so bad, because all of these bits right here will be absolutely fine. The overhangs though will of course create some spawning spaces. So what I'm thinking we could do to start off with is see if an AFK platform up in the sky would be alright during the daytime, because then we won't be loading the caves down below that are unlit, and the light will be lighting up all of the hills, and we might have a good shot at getting ourselves some decent spawn rates. Now I'm aware that there's going to be caves inside the mountains themselves. There's probably not much we can do about that. They're going to be quite tricky to find unless they have like openings, I guess. But I think it's a good way to start. So what we're going to do now is grab ourselves some ladders, build a massive pillar up into the sky, and then we're going to AFK up there during the daytime and see if we can get some decent spawn rates. It's a little bit nauseating being all the way up here, and you may be wondering what exactly it is we're doing this high up. This is clearly too high. I had an idea that if we came all the way up here, then that bottom area down below is too far away for any mobs to be spawning. They would all be instantly despawning. That is Y70, that is over 128 blocks away. So if we come all the way up here before we go and AFK down below, then we get rid of a lot of mobs in the area, and that's more for the ones that have spawned overnight that are sort of lingering around in the hills, because then they'll despawn, they won't be able to spawn back where they were. So we've got that to climb up to, and it takes a while to climb up as well, and then we can come down to this platform, which is the ideal height to AFK. So now what I'm going to do is AFK here for some time, and then we're going to go down below and see if we get a decent amount of drops. Oh, there we go, the witches are falling down. I've got to tell you, I am seriously impressed with this. Done about 40 minutes of AFKing, that means at least half of it has been night time. And we've got all of this right here, so I did a little bit of maths, and this is around 2,200 items per hour. Now in a void world, That could be, I think 5,400 was the one I estimated in the tutorial. That is not bad. That is under half, and that is way better than I ever expected. So I am totally pleased with this right here, and that is a nice little supply of things to have in our base. Of course, the sugar right here is going to go into speed potions, which I guess will probably be one of the next ones that we do in the potion room, and that is absolutely terrific. I've got a big smile on my face right now, just so surprised at how many drops we actually got from that. That is seriously good. I've got to say, I'm pretty ecstatic with how that went. That was so much better than I ever expected. And now I'm going to be doing plenty of AFKing up on top of that big old ladder, which is going to be a pain to climb up every time, but it'll be totally worth it. So right now, unfortunately, I've got to log off and render this video, but I'm going to try and do as much AFKing up there as I can and get loads and loads of drops for the next episode, where we'll be working on that big ugly box that we left up there on the surface. Anyway, that's going to be it from me this one. Do hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, hit the like button. It's always appreciated when you guys do that, and I'll see you in the next episode. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye bye.